So I've held off on doing a betting breakdown of this cursed card, as I can't remember the last time I've seen so many cancellations, and to be honest, I've kind of been bracing myself for more. Apparently the last Apex card wasn't enough, so we're going to be treated now to another. Delightful. Hopefully this one will stay together though, because as god-awful as it is, I do think there is enormous betting value in this turd, and I don't know about you, but I can stomach not being fully entertained as long as it makes my pockets bulge. Alright, I did my best to look at some of Ravina Oliveira's fights, and the best I could ascertain from my thorough research and one case of Kleenex and lotion later, that despite looking like she's had her head jammed in a fucking lift, she looks pretty good in a bikini. The bumper's solid. Anyway, I did manage to see one clip of her most recent fight, so I must admit going into this one a little bit blind. She does have a really impressive record of KOs, TKOs, but if you look closely, they were against women with a combined record of 9 and 5, and her most recent opponent has a record of 8 and 5. I'll let you do the math on that one. Tainara has a similarly shady record, but at least she beat Jessica Rose Clark, who is UFC tested, and her only 2 losses were against Jumon and the runt of the Shevchenko litter in close fights, and both women have gone on to have slightly less than embarrassing careers. For women, I'd edge Lisboa based on the quality of opposition, but keep your wallet closed on this one. Terence Mckinney has finally figured out how the UFC operates. If you offer to fight every 9 or 10 minutes, the brass will reward you by pulling scrubs out of the woodwork and giving you nice, easy fights. Now, Brandon Marotte does come out of a decent gym at New England Cartel and has looked pretty decent in Combat Zone, but this is a major step up. Not so much in competition, Mckinney is a toilet bug, but in Spotlight. We just don't know how he's going to adjust, especially taking this at short notice. Despite what I said about value at the start of this breakdown, this isn't the one to find it in. Mckinney opening as a minus 450 favourite is just a criminal overpay. He should win, but there's no way I trust him at these odds. Marotte has proven he can go all 3, and we know Terence has 0 gas after 1, so stay away from this one. Mckinney on the money line is the only logical pick, but nothing would surprise me after the year we've had. I've been trying to convince myself that Yoder is worth having a punt on, given the reach and height advantage. More on the former to be honest, but she's just shockingly terrible and hasn't fought in fucking ages. She's also lost 4 in 5. Now, Ducote is nothing to write home about either. She is younger technically and is at a better gym and is also more active, but both couldn't bang their way out of a paper bag. And while Ducote swings like a mentally challenged child doing their best impression of a helicopter, she does bring volume, and I think in a fight where both have limited potential to finish, this could be the deciding factor. Of course, the over 2.5 is a nice alternative, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say that Ducote does enough to win on the cards, possibly 29-28. Minus 340 is fucking embarrassing though. Alright, this is where we get our first nice bit of value. 100% I'm taking Chris Gutierrez here. He's far more technical and very difficult to put pressure on, and that is essentially the Mongolian's game plan every time he goes in there. Basically being dog tough, backing guys up with very little technical skill behind it. Alateng employs more of a rocket sock'em robot approach to MMA, which while entertaining, is not the most sure way to win a fight. And against a guy like Gutierrez that counters well and has a brutal leg kicking game, I think he's going to get his legs battered up until he no longer has the power and base to crack back. This fight will be vital in injecting some energy into a card that I expect is going to be dead food up until this point. Alateng is reasonably tough, but I just think he's going to get worn down by the more technical dude here. Oh man, this feels like a bear trap that I'm strangely inclined to stick my leg into. We have the Russian Ronda Irana Alekseeva, strange moniker considering how her career ended, versus Englishwoman Melissa Dixon, coming out of Coventry, England, one of the most boring places on the fucking planet. The cathedral is the highlight. I'm going to confess I did pick against the Russian in her last fight against Stephanie Egger and got pretty badly scorched in that one. I have not learned my lesson and I'm picking against her again. I do not like the haphazard way this woman puts volume ahead of technique, and I've seen Dixon take a slapping by more technical fighters and march forward and still manage to apply a game. Dixon is not a spring chicken, but has an extensive amateur record, and she's not the type to lay in guard when she gets a takedown with decent defense on the ground also. I think if she can stay composed while Alekseeva tries to blitz early like a headless chicken, I can see her taking over by just being a bit smarter than her opponent. My confidence on this one is low, but I'm going to pick the fighter that is marginally less brain dead. Alrighty. Honestly, this is another one I do not feel great about, and I have flipped back and forth on who to pick here. On one side, you've got Darren, I've taken the damage Elkins, who has been in some fucking absolute wars. And to be honest, it's astonishing that the man can even dress himself in the morning, let alone get into a cage at this point in his life. The CTE must be crazy. He is an absolute dog though, and will scrap to the absolute bitter end. TJ Brown, on the other hand, does have the ability to bang a dude out pretty early, no homo, which is his best shot to win this one. Now, because of his youth and ability to crack, you can get really juicy odds on this going over 2.5 at almost plus 200 at some bookies. I think that Elkins can take a hiding, but that TJ Brown will be wary of gassing and attempt to slow the pace down to compensate. I can see Brown having the better of it early, and Elkins taking over in what could be a very close decision. So for that reason, the over seems a lot more appealing to me. Now, this is a great fight between two very young bantamweight prospects, but I have to take Saiimon as the betting underdog here. Christian Rodriguez is carrying a lot of hype after dominating Van der Rohe's secret love child. However, I think that is a really overrated win, and it's the loss against Jonathan Pearce that has really swayed me on this one finally. Saiimon is improving bout to bout, and while he hasn't faced anyone too impressive, if he can avoid getting docked points for doing silly shit like eye poking and kicking guys in the bollocks, I think he's going to have enough to win this. One thing I like about this kid as well is that if he's down in a fight or facing adversity, he's willing to risk it all to go for a finish, and that's someone I can feel more confident putting money on the line for. He carries that threat at all times, and in a fight like this that could be very close, I have to edge the guy that will be smart enough to be honest with himself and put the gas on when the fight could be slipping away. Yeah, this is the easy one. I'm going for Edgar Chairez. These men fought a few weeks ago at UFC Noche, and it was called a no contest after Lacerda was locked in a choke and appeared to pass out, but didn't. Lacerda got lucky on that one. He was going to go to Nappy Town sooner or later. Lacerda is fun, but has no brain. Chairez, I think, is going to choke his ass out, this time properly, and the refs aren't going to save him this time. The money line on this one is very enticing based on what we've seen. Yeah, this is a great last-minute addition to this card and worth waiting for. Pereira is new at middleweight, but was always a very big welterweight that struggled with the cut. One of Pereira's biggest flaws in his game was that he would often blow his wad, doing some insanely retarded shit that wouldn't look out of place in a Street Fighter game or a cartoon. The man tried a front flip stomp once to a grounded opponent that, while objectively entertaining and hilarious, is just not very smart, is it? He is way more composed now though, has an underrated grappling defense, which Andre depends on for offense. Andre gassed horribly against GM3, almost got choked out in the third, and displayed some of the most horrific striking I've ever seen at this level. I think Michel is going to hurt his body, making him gas even more, and with his ability to time nice knees up the middle, I can see Petrovski getting caught on the chin and hurt going for a takedown when he realizes he can't touch Michel. The odds for Pereira on the money line are juicy enough, but I wouldn't be surprised if he starches him at some point in the fight as well. Yeah, this one is a pick'em and should be a hell of a fight. I'm going to go against the majority again though, and I'm going to take Jonathan Martinez. I made serious bank taking Rob Font as the dog against Yanez in his last one. Could not believe my luck when I saw that money line. I just think that Martinez has more ways to win. He kickboxes really well at range and has a really solid offensive grappling game and more of a threat on the ground. Yanez is elite at boxing range, but that is about all he has. And while there is a high risk of him catching Martinez here and putting him to sleep, I kind of trust Martinez to stay safe, time a takedown, wear Yanez down, sap that early power, and grind out a decision win here. Let's not forget that Yanez does not exactly have the most shredded physique. That body looks ripe for a fold-in. Martinez has faced better competition overall, and as a betting man, I like to favour the guy with more tools in the toolkit in what I expect to be a very close fight. Absolute banger though, I love this one. I'm going to keep this one brief and banter-free. Shocking, I know. I'm just going to say it. I like Jennifer Maia as a fighter. She is more experienced, yet a year younger, has better boxing and accuracy, has faced better competition, and is excellent on the ground. Viviane is not a bad fighter by any means, but I feel she lacks a killer instinct and is very much under decline. Maia has been in championship fights, arguably taking 2 rounds off Valentina Shevchenko when she was at her pomp. I just think Maia's going to land more on the feet and will be stronger on the ground if it goes there. She's one female fighter that I feel is very underrated, and I have a lot of respect for her. If I'm betting, I go decision, and while that is the official pick with both women very tough, I think Maia's going to win this one. This is a great fight. I'm going to take Sodiq Youseff though. Barbosa is an outstandingly ferocious kickboxer and will be very dangerous in the first few rounds. Sodiq is tough as hell though, and has never been finished in his career. I think he's going to wear Barbosa down, getting respect as long as he can keep it in boxing range, where he's very sharp and quick. I think he also has the power advantage, and in a 5-round fight, I have to favour the guy that carries a far greater takedown and submission threat. Edson is a legend, but he's 37 now, and at the lower weight classes, I feel this is more problematic for a guy that spent the majority of his career fighting at lightweight. I think Sodiq will play within his range, in the boxing, and just has more tools. On another note, his YouTube is fucking hilarious, and I kind of just want him to win as well. It's better for the division. Alright, these are my weekend pick roundups. As always, the yellow ones are the ones that I'm moderately confident about. Green are the ones I'm feeling really good about. And the red is the one that I picked it, but I'm not overly confident on it. It's just more of a hunch. So this is kind of for an overall view if you fancy going back and looking at that when you're making your bets, if I have any influence on you at all. Alright, so the record, as you know, 259-119. I've got a win percentage of 69%. I will be back, obviously, to break this card down on Saturday night. Also, I'm hoping to fit in one more news video before then. Have a great rest of the week, everyone, and catch you in a bit.